by his family in Africa. I don't know, right? The Mandela effect, right? The whole thing is crazy. There's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. We have to start at Fauci lied. He lied. And everybody's reporting it. The Post-Millennial says Fauci admits science behind masking kids and 6-foot social distancing was made up. Oh, I just made it up. Ha ha ha. Next question. What? It was years. This guy's walking around like, oh yeah, it's fine. Look into AIDS because what? Holy smoke. Daily Mail says the same thing. Reveal Dr. Anthony Fauci confesses he made up COVID rules, including 6-foot social distancing and masking kids. Just made it up. It's fine. He just made it up. What? He also was paid $710 million. So Silence says the NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact they tried to hide. So he's making a lot of money while lying to people about the efficacy of vaccines, etc., and the things that you have to do to protect yourself against this virus or whatever. And he just made it all up, and he's making hundreds of millions of dollars, or him and his cabal of liars is making hundreds of millions of dollars, and everybody's just cool with it. In fact, all of the liars are saying, that was pretty easy. All we had to do was scare the hell out of these people, and that's pretty easy to do also, especially with unknowns, right? We don't know anything, but we think that it's very contagious and maybe deadly. So you should be locked down. They're trying to ramp it up again. They're trying to do the whole thing again, except they're trying to do it with bird flu. And I fundamentally think the bird flu is going to be an attack on food production. They're saying the bird flu is jumping to cows, jumping to humans. So when you find bird flu in your cow, in your herd of cows or herd creatures, whatever it is, I think it'll probably spread to more than just cows eventually. But herd animals, right? Food sources. They're going to say, oh man, you've got a bird flu here and you got to kill them all. And when the bird flu is found on a chicken farm, they're going to kill millions of chickens and lots of eggs, and that's going to spike our food prices. But I don't think they're going to go after you and me because they don't need to lock down if no restaurants have food, right? Do you want to come in for a quiche? Oh, sorry, we don't have eggs. And do you want to come in for a chicken? No, we don't have eggs. Do you want to come in for pasta or pizza with nothing on it? No, right? No. So the lockdown comes because the economics of food are destroyed. And so that's the vector of attack I think that we're looking at right now. It's slightly different than COVID, but just as devastating. Camus is talking about Tedros. And so they have made an agreement. They've, in true resilient style, the globalists have made lemons out of the lemonade. So the lemonade was the world rejecting their pandemic treaty, their pandemic agreement. So they've moved forward other things at this convention, and they've passed those other things, and those other things are a step forward. And they want to pass the whole pandemic treaty by the end of 2025. So that's what Tedros is talking about here. The whole thing is quoted, so I'll just let Tedros say what he's going to say. But fundamentally, they're trying to tie health and climate change. So they're going after the food with the bird flu. They're not going after us directly with the bird flu. They're going after the food. But climate change is what they're going to use to try and keep us in our zones. And they're going to use health because if the world is sick, then your health is worse. And so that's what they're trying to accomplish through all of this. Here's Tedros to talk about that.
Today, the nations of the world made history at the World Health Assembly. After 2 years of negotiations, they adopted a strong package of amendments to the international health regulations based on the lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic. The IHR was last updated 19 years ago. The amendments adopted today strengthen global preparedness, surveillance, and response to public health emergencies, including pandemics. And although the pandemic agreement has not yet been finalized, the Health Assembly has charted the way forward. It has agreed to extend the mandate of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Body to finalize negotiations on the pandemic agreement as soon as possible, and by next year's World Health Assembly at the latest. The success of the IHR amendments demonstrates that in our divided and divisive world, countries can still come together to find common cause and common ground.
So they're still moving things forward. Here's another one. Another minute and a half of Tedros talking about climate and health. Okay, this one's going to be loud. I'm going to turn this down. I'll find the right volume once he's talking.
The climate crisis is a health crisis. Climate-related humanitarian emergencies are increasing in scale, frequency, and intensity. Climate action could save millions of lives each year.
Listen to his words. Climate action could save millions of lives each year, but it might not do a damn thing at all. It's the same lie. These liars are lying in the same way again. If Fauci lied and made $710 million for him and his cohorts and collaborators, how much is Tedros making for this lie? Because when you say it could, well, I mean, like, I could fly. Pigs could, monkeys could fly out of wherever, right? Tedros's butt. All of these things could happen, I suppose, if the right circumstances were to present themselves. It would be more difficult to get monkeys to fly out of whatever, Tedros's butt. Pigs could fly, things like that, right? The correct circumstances would need to be achieved, but it could happen, right? But probably not. So this is a lie in just the same way that Fauci is lying when he's saying, you know, we could save lives with this. But he said even more certain, like he said with more certainty than even Tedros is saying now. This is bullshit though, right? I hope your bullshit detector is going right off the roof, off the scale. Here we go.
Save millions of lives each year. We also need to invest in health and care workers to meet the increasing demands on health systems caused by climate change. I also welcome.
We need to hire healthcare workers to deal with the increase caused by climate change. The migration of people into the West is not caused by climate change. It's caused by NGOs funding people who are coming here for free giveaways. I think the way to end it, and we were talking about this on the kitchen table talk yesterday, is turn off all welfare. Turn it all off. You get, and like the way to do it properly, actually, is to have an opt-out system where everybody's encouraged and incentivized to opt out. So you have a private system and a public system. And the public system is you pay your taxes, and the government administers the system and delivers the product, which is terrible, by the way, right? It's terrible, terrible, terrible. And the other system is you get insurance and you have the product delivered by product experts, not the government, and you get to keep all of your money. You opt out on a government website, opt out, click, and then instead of paying 40% of your taxes, you instead pay 40% of your salary to taxes. You instead pay less than 10%. I think that there are some taxes, like the government needs to do certain things like building roads. I don't think a private company can realistically be trusted is the wrong word, but encouraged to build roads the same way that the government would be, right? It's a public good kind of thing. So I think that the government needs to do certain things, and I don't know exactly how to figure out the balance of like taxing the public for those things, and making sure that the government just does those things, because obviously scope creep is a problem, right? The government says, we'll provide healthcare, and somebody says, what about dental? And the government says, we'll provide dental too. And somebody says, what about this thing that you don't like? What about braces? And the government says, oh no, right? Whereas like if you say, yeah, we'll provide the situation where there can be a dentist here, and the dentist will be trained, and you can buy that service from the dentist. That's what the government should do. And it shouldn't have to pay for the dentist. Like, there is a dentist. Yay, you live in a first world country. Woo-hoo, right? Not that the government pays for it, because the government is bad at delivering service. So fundamentally, you get people to opt out. You continue to collect the taxes, and I guess you continue to deliver the services until a certain moment happens where it flips over, and then maybe the government can become a crown corporation that is an insurance company. But see, it seems predatory then, and people would get their back up about that. So I don't know how to do it realistically in a practical sense, other than moving forward and moving towards people having personal responsibility. But that's fundamentally what it is, right? Okay, back to Tedros.
The resolution on climate change and health that member states have approved.
It is precisely because of the compelling arguments that we've heard that the Netherlands and Peru felt compelled to present this resolution at this World Health Assembly.
We deliberately sought to carve out a proactive role for member states. We hope this resolution will thereby guide countries to take the urgently needed action on all fronts.
We cycled 550 kilometers from Paris to be with you today. Climate change and air pollution are the biggest threat to child health worldwide, and we see this in our day-to-day clinical practice.
Children are demanding this. They have.
If Fauci lied, why wouldn't these people lie? These people are saying things that help their profession. They ensure them having a job, right? And I'm sure that they think, oh, well, the biggest threat to children's health is climate change, right? Like if you believe in the climate change thing, you could say that and convince yourself that that's true without looking at any data. So it's one of those things where these people are lying, and they either know it or they're so ideologically captured that they don't realize it, but they are lying. Here's Concerned Citizen. He says, Stuttgart, Germany floods. More shocking scenes of flood weather from Germany as we move into the European summertime. On a completely unrelated note, did you know there are over 100 weather modification programs happening right now across the world? Weird. Isn't that crazy? We're gonna talk about the weather modification stuff in this energy series of tabs right here, because the Canadian government's talking about it too. So pretty wild. And when these flood situations happen, the World Health Organization is going to say, you can't go home because for your health, we've taken over whatever it is, pandemic, for your climate health, blah, 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 blah. You go to this hotel, we'll pay for it. You've lost your house, but don't worry, the government will take care of you. And now the government just has your house and all your stuff, and it's flooded, so you can't go back. So sorry about your luck. Now you're a global citizen and you live in refugee camps around the world, right? And I mean, that's the FEMA camp worry in the United States, right? Like they'll burn your neighborhood down, then there's no neighborhood to return to, no house. You get insurance money and you live in migrant camps, right? Happy being American, right? So not great. Is this plausible? Why can't we have a conversation about all of the geoengineering that's going on? Because we're not having a conversation about that. And they lied about COVID. They lied about everything to do with COVID. Why wouldn't they lie about climate change? Why wouldn't they? Like, if I was in charge and everybody fell hook, line, and sinker for COVID, I'd double down on climate change. All I've got to do is make it scary enough for people to say, you're killing grandma, just like they did with COVID. Done. Bingo, bingo, bongo, right? People manipulated. Here is sudden and unexplainable. Here's the Swiss cardiologist calls for abolishing the WHO, because the WHO, not the band, because fundamentally what they're doing is trying to take over in an authoritarian kind of structure. Here he is explaining it. The first minute is kind of him laying the groundwork for who he is, but we'll pick it up halfway here. Here we go.
Platform. It is doing so, though just being able to count and to distinguish foreign from self, even having a trace of intelligence, is enough to realize that the modified RNA vaccine platform is totally nonsensical and life-threatening. Its two fundamental flaws are the injection of the construction plan for a protein foreign to the body without having any control over which body cells will produce it, in what dose and for how long, and the fact that the cells who are coerced to produce this foreign protein and then present it on their surface will be mistakenly recognized by our immune system as foreign, thus destroyed, much like the rejection of a foreign organ transplanted into you. The alleged modified RNA vaccination coerces your body to produce a toxin in unknown dose and for an unknown period of time, and literally transforms parts of you into an alien. Therefore, the entire modified RNA vaccine platform must be banned immediately. Your government is currently negotiating a pandemic treaty with the WHO. If it signs it, the WHO will be placed above the constitution of your country, and not only you, but also your government and your parliament will lose all freedom of choice. Who controls the who? Controls the world. The only reasonable, 100% effective and safe prevention of another criminal pandemic is the immediate smashing of the WHO into 1,000 pieces. Dear fellow humans, if you have been injected once or even several times, and perhaps even suffer from severe side effects of the modified RNA injections, do not despair. More and more responsible doctors are willing to help you, and more responsible scientists are researching for, one day, being able to treat even their most complex side effects.
So we'll see if that comes to pass. But it's interesting that he's talking about how the WHO is moving to take control and we should smash it into a million little pieces. So yeah, I don't disagree. I think that he's probably accurate in his assessment. Paul Mitchell is a PPC guy, and he says he's sharing an Epoch Times piece talking about Saskatchewan residents deserve an apology from the province over vaccine mandates, says an MLA, one of their representatives. So Saskatchewan MLA Nadine Wilson says she rejected the provincial vaccine mandate because it was an unprincipled violation of privacy, adding that citizens need an apology from the government to heal. Again, apologies are a start. However, we also need to see arrests for COVID and jab crimes. If you and me created a product and we sold the product, doesn't matter what it is, and somebody used the product and harmed themselves because they used the product, and you and I told them that it was safe and effective, we'd be in trouble. Somebody would be like, you need to explain this. Why aren't our politicians in trouble? Where's public health? Where's the perp walk for public health? You got a perp walk for Donald Trump. Where's the perp walk for public health? Where's Cam Guthrie being arrested? Where's Doug Ford being arrested for lying to people about these products that they purchased on our behalf? Why not? Why not? Explain it to me. An apology? An apology, great start. Apology from behind bars, maybe. An apology from behind bars after patriots have taken over the government and decided on the full punishment for the lies told. Because how do you quantify that? You know what I mean? Behind bars. It seems not quite enough, right? So apology. We're missing some things here. Wide Awake Media says, according to Canada's Green Party leaders, protecting our environment globally requires healthy and functional democracies. And as such, the rise of right-wing populist governments all around the world poses a direct threat to our survival on the planet. The whole paradigm that our policies are put through is faulty. It's faulty. It's false. And Elizabeth May talking about this, talking about, if people don't fall in line and do what the climate zealots say, we're all going to die, and they pose a direct risk. They're trying to make this argument, but it's a false argument based on false premise. Okay, here's Elizabeth May.
While we're focused in this press conference on the threat of ecocide and recognizing it under the Rome Statute, I think we also recognize that protecting our environment globally requires healthy and functional democracies, and the rise of right-wing populist governments all around the world and declines in democracy are also a direct threat to our survival on this planet.
No, but she's going to use that lie in order to bolster her crooked and false ideology and push her bad policies forward using this lie. Okay, so ridiculous. And gov.exe highlights all the corruption that we've seen. And again, all of this is lies. They're just lying in order to steal money from us and use it to bolster further lies, to create a false reality that needs people to be paid off to not see the obvious truths in front of their face. Anyway, SNC Lavalin scandal, $50 million. We Charity scandal, $900 million. Arrive scam scandal, $60 million. $60 million is way low. Way low. The that one Arrive can thing is $60 million, the app itself. But people doing what was described and illustrated in the Arrive Can scam app investigation, that's rampant across government. That's everywhere. Like, all of the liberals do it. They're all wasting our tax dollars, and we're not in the know about any of it. Okay, I'm telling you. $60 million, way low. Buying stocks buying stocks for a company that doesn't exist, $2 billion plus. Again, we don't know anything about that. It's just like, oh yeah, Chrystia Freeland's going to take $2 billion and question mark profit. Except that none of the third and fourth steps happened, right? Setting up phony infrastructure projects, $100 billion plus. Where's the money, Catherine McKenna? Blaming conspiracy theorists for government accountability, priceless. Some things just can't be stolen, but for everything else, there's Justin Trudeau's Liberals, right? So billions unaccounted for, blah, blah, blah. But it's those evil alt-right people, right? Give me a break. Give me a break. We're smarter than that. Here is some protests are more equal than others. And CTV News says BC law banning disruptive protests near schools now in effect. So that's interesting. Pro-Hamas disruptive protests still allowed. Parents protesting the radical left NDP SOGI curriculum, that's banned. Right? So if you're protesting for Canada, if you're protesting for your kids, if you're protesting for anti-lockdowns and anti-vax mandates, then you are the problem, right? If you're protesting pro-Palestine, pro-Gaza, well, we're going to look the other way and allow you to keep doing what you're doing, right? Kevin says, it turns out the University of Toronto does have the ability to remove tents, and quickly. Unfortunately, they only removed tents set up by Jewish U of T students and acted within 5 minutes. When did anti-Jew discrimination become U of T property or policy? This wasn't the case when I was a student. And Joshua says, University of Toronto has the authority and power to remove student tents. They just discriminate based on the popular issue. Hamas tent equals good, peaceful Canadian and pro-Israel tent removed. This is discrimination. It's the same thing that would happen if you showed up with 10 patriots and people flying Canadian flags and you tried to set up your tent. The police would shut you down. Right? And they're not going to shut down anybody with a pro. You might be able to set up, it would be fun if you set up with a pro-Palestinian flag and you're like, yeah, pro-Palestinian, and then you change it. Like, oh, snap, right? Now we're not actually pro-Palestinian. Or like put both up, right? And then take the Palestinian one down, see how long you last. Goodness me. Have fun with the crazy kids. But honestly, the whole thing is pretty wild. This is it's sanctioned. There is somebody paying for this. There's somebody paying for these radical nut jobs to be in this place. Like, these people are not acting this way totally by themselves. I'm sure some of them are. I'm sure this is not an act for some of them, but for some of them, they're being paid cash money, right? Just like the Meng Wanzhou supporters who were out protesting in front of the courtroom when that was a thing. Okay, honestly. Freeland, let's move on to race, because they're wedging by everything they possibly can to create fights and division. Okay, they want to have people disagreeing publicly, calling each other out. They want wedge issues to be emotionally all-encompassing so you don't see yourself being wedged. Okay, Israel's a great example of that, because if you see Israel as the victim, then you will get very upset at anybody who doesn't. And if you see Gaza and Palestine as the victim, then you will get very upset at anybody who doesn't. And I have experienced both, and both are equally not willing to listen to anybody saying, you're being manipulated and used to further a globalist's plan and ideology and narrative. And it has nothing to, maybe Israel is at the center of this. Maybe not, I don't know. But the people who are pushing this forward are using these people as pawns to distract the rest of us. Talk about energy and direct energy weapons. This is a weird one this morning, because I just didn't think I'd come across this. It's a weird one. Barely Used Book says the Canadian government are using direct energy weapons on regular people. Everything from HEL lasers to particle beams. The MM waves are currently microwaving our brains. So, I don't know. Have you found like your memory kind of not working as well as normal? This is the Government of Canada website. Direct energy weapons. When was this published? Usually they've got it published on this date. Okay, so this was published May 23rd. Date modified May 23rd, and it says directed energy weapons. DEWs are concentrated or use concentrated energy from electromagnetic or particle technology rather than kinetic energy to degrade or destroy targets. DEWs have the capability to damage physical targets over several kilometers with high precision and accuracy. As the technology advances, weaponized directed energy (DE) systems are becoming more powerful, prevalent, and increasingly integrated into air, land, and sea platforms, enabling science and technology. So here's the National Defense PDF, directed energy weapons, and it's exactly what I was reading before. Millimeter waves, high energy lasers, high power microwaves, particle beams, space, right? They talk about, and this guy, this guy's highlighted some things that he thought was interesting. Oh, no, he didn't. But here is, I saw this the other day. Alex Jones said, honestly, 2 days ago, Alex Jones says, this is real, and I'm going to get into it on my show today. And I just thought it was wild and crazy that, like, the day after I saw this, and I'll show it to you in a minute, this comes across my desk. And it's not been published that long ago, right? So crazy. Here's the Alex Jones video. This video itself isn't Alex Jones. It's just talking about the national defense capabilities of the laser weapons that they use. Here we go.
There are so many towers and hidden transmitters. Even street lights can have transmitters in them, road signs, and there is a system, and it's been out about 10, 12 years now, called CELDAR. There are different types of CELDAR, but basically a computer, if they wanted to watch you, it's like radar, only with microwaves. Once the system is locked onto you, let's say from this lamppost, if there's a transmitter there, once it's locked onto you, the computer will take away anything that isn't moving, like buildings, and it will have your size, and then as you walk up the road, and you get lost from this transmitter, the next one will pick you up, and then the next one, and they can follow you everywhere. And if they want to, they can also send a beam into you, a microwave beam.
A microwave beam. And like, I thought, when I saw that, I thought, man, that's crazy town. That's crazy town. Not that I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. It's plausible, but I don't want to believe it. I think, and if I told you, if I was like, listen, they're beaming microwaves, they're using microwaves to track you, you'd be like, okay, Alex Jones, chill out. And so I waited. I didn't go with the story, but I remembered the story. And then this came across my desk today, and I was like, what the heck? High-powered microwaves, high-powered microwave weapons, HPMs, have a shorter range than HELs, and their beam degrades over long distances, but they're not affected by weather and can impact targets over a wide area. High-energy lasers, HELs, have significant advantage over conventional munitions, such as the ability to engage targets at the speed of light with pinpoint accuracy and a virtually unlimited magazine. However, they can be adversely affected by atmospheric conditions like rain or fog. Ah, darn, my laser weapon's not working. Reconfigure it. It's the fog, Captain. Millimeter waves. Direct energy has various non-lethal military applications, including crowd control and area denial. Although proven to be very safe, millimeter waves energy has the capability to produce significant injuries. Particle beam weapons have strong penetration ability, high speed, high energy, and can operate in all weather conditions. However, the technology is extremely complex with many challenges to overcome before it can be used in combat. Particle beams, eh? I've seen Ghostbusters, so space. Directed energy applications in space are the focus of much research, including using DE for direct energy for propelling spacecraft, intercepting satellites, or deflecting comets or asteroids threatening Earth. And there's another page, which I'm not going to go through because we're already long today, but pretty wild stuff. I think. What do you think? Plausible? Plausible. I think totally plausible. Let's talk about an invasion. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.